Hello everyone, welcome to Style Starter Kit. I am so incredibly thrilled to have all of you within this free training. And before we get started into the main presentation of this course, where I really just give you the meat and the really good stuff, the knowledge that you need and the tools that you can take with you to develop your own style, I wanted to just take a few minutes to tell you a little bit more about myself, a little bit more about my story and my creative journey and how I got to the place that I'm at right now. And also I want to talk a little bit more about why I even decided to offer this course and why I believe that it's so incredibly important. And honestly, I feel like the tools that I'm giving you within this free offering could potentially save you 5 years of struggling in trying to find yourself and who you are and trying to develop your own style as an artist. So, a little bit more about me. I actually somewhat fell into this artist gig, right? When I was younger, I was actually really creative. My mom would put me in art classes, and I was definitely already a little bit creative, but it wasn't something that I did on a regular basis, right? I didn't consider myself an artist. I probably would have honestly just told you, I'm really good at art. And I remember in high school, I took a drawing course in which I actually was able to create fairly realistic pencil portrait drawings, right? But it was always just about the end product and never about the process of enjoying and creating art for me. So fast forward to 2004, and I was in a fairly good car accident that I like to say rearranged my brain. I suffered what's called a traumatic brain injury, and for years after that, I really struggled with chronic pain and with really depression that comes from a traumatic brain injury. And it wasn't until a few years after that that I discovered mixed media art. And for the first time in a very long time, I found something that helped me process the trauma of my brain injury and my car accident. Not only that, but when I sat down to paint, I found that I actually was more creative than before my car accident. You see, I used to be much more left-brained, and then after my brain injury, I became much more right-brained. And so this started me down this creative path that I am so incredibly grateful for today. It's been such a gift from God to me that I get to explore creativity in a way that I never knew was possible. And really making art became this place of self-expression and also a way for me to embrace beauty in the everyday. And I wanted to share that because I think it's really important to understand what is the why behind your art making. And in all honesty, if you can start evaluating what is the why behind your art making, and also the message of and the deeper meaning behind your art, I think that that's actually the foundation and the starting point of developing your own style. And the more that you are able to process that, the more that you are able to recognize this is why I make art, and this is the message and the narrative, the underlying narrative of my art making, the more you're going to be able to find your own unique expression, because you understand this is what I'm trying to say in my art making, and this is why I am creating art. So I like to share a little bit about that. Another thing that I just want to let you all know is that I have tried all the styles over the years. And in those beginning years of creating, I did so much copying of other artists. And I just want to say a lot of that is actually fairly normal. So if you're still sort of in that stage where you're copying other artists and you're really still trying to figure out who you are as an artist and how to innovate your own process and take what you learn from other artists and make it your own, you are 100% in the right place with this free training, because I am going to give you some amazing tools for your toolkit. I can't wait to get into it. But first up, I just want to address this question: what is style and why is it even important? So I want you to think about if you are ever scrolling on social media and you see a painting and you immediately know who painted that painting. That is the essence of style. So if you've ever done that and you automatically know, oh my goodness, that is Wendy Brightbill, right? If you see a painting of mine and you immediately associate it with me, that is the essence of style. It's having that something that people, or that expression or way of creating that other people can recognize is you. That is a style, okay? It's really just that simple. Why do I believe that it's important? First of all, I believe it's important to develop your own style because I believe that we all have something unique to express. I believe it's part of how we were created, that we have a unique expression that only we can put down on a canvas, okay? Whether that's creating or painting or whatever your medium is, you have a unique expression that only you can communicate through art making. And so I just want to recognize that. Also, I feel like anytime that you are trying to be someone that you're not, you are not fully stepping into all that you were created for. And that's why I think it's really important to develop your own style and your own expression, because until you are able to do that, you're going to experience a certain level of frustration whenever you sit down to paint or to create. You're not going to feel fully satisfied with the process of painting. And I've recognized that in my own life, that for the first 5 to 7 years of creating, I've been doing this since 2010, I didn't really like my artwork. And that is something that's really frustrating. I always loved the process of creating, but there was always something that I just thought, I'm just not quite getting to the place that I want to be getting. And that's why I have really decided to specialize in this as an instructor, because I want you as an artist to love the art that you're making. In fact, I know that I've done my job if you sit down and you love the art that you're creating. That's why I am making this course and why I believe it's so important for you to explore all of these, what I like to call style elements, but they're actually just the 7 elements of art, okay? So one last thing that I'm going to leave with you before we get into the actual meat and training / presentation that I've prepared for you. When I first started making art, one of the things that I really tried to do is learn from other artists, right? And I just remember feeling like if anyone could just sit down with me, come alongside me, teach me, help me in this whole process, I would have been so incredibly grateful. But one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of the artists who had quote unquote made it, or what I thought that, they had made it as an artist, is that there was this feeling of elitism, right? There was this sense of, I've made it as an artist, but I'm not going to give you all of my secrets, because if I do, maybe that will somehow take away from my success as an artist, right? And I noticed there was almost like this competitive nature in the art community, and it was really yucky feeling, right? This feeling of, don't steal my style and don't steal my I don't know what you would call it, my process or how I do things, right? Some artists would teach you how to make the paintings that they were making, but then they would get mad at you if you copied their art. And so it was kind of this weird double standard, right? And so I really just want to give all of you the tools that you need to do this for yourself, right? I want every artist to keep going, to thrive, and to become more of who they are meant to be, because it's not easy. And that's why I share everything. I am an open book. I give everything away. Nothing is, off the table. I'm not going to secretly hold back some element because then you might become like me or have what I have. And that's not at all what this is about. I want to see every artist succeed. And I also understand that in the beginning stages, you probably will copy stuff that I do. But the goal is to get you to the place where you understand all of the different building blocks that go into different styles, and then make the choice for yourself and pick and choose the parts that feel most like you, and then leave the rest behind. Okay. So I'm so thrilled. Thank you for joining me. Let's go ahead and get into the main part of this presentation.